Hi, folks. Welcome back. So, unless you've been living under a rock these last few months, everyone has been talking about AI native companies, AI native firms, and the benefits of it, and why we all should be building AI native companies. But there hasn't been a ton of definition and some empirical rigor around it. And that's why I want to look at this paper from Kim and Koenig where they actually study these, they define what an AI native firm is and find some good empirical backing for the advantages of AI native firms. So, what is an AI native firm? It is a firm that is using AI deeply in both its internal processes in terms of how they work internally and also the products that they offer to their customers. So AI is deeply embedded into the way the product works or the value proposition of the product. And this idea recently went mainstream, of course. You've all seen the stories and the discourse around it. A big fraction of the Y Combinator batches recently have been AI native firms. And that's their underlying data set. They studied a lot of YC batches, but also tens of thousands of VC-backed firms. All right, so what did they find in terms of empirical numbers? This one is obvious, but again, great to have empirical findings behind it. Of course, AI native firms are much smaller. And if you control for everything, they're about 25% smaller. But more importantly, not only do they start smaller, they stay smaller as they grow over time. The interesting thing is that apart from raw size, the internal composition in terms of the functions of the people in the firm and the seniority mix of the people in the firm are markedly different between AI native firms and the rest. So in AI native firms, you see engineering and science increase the fraction of employees in those functions and then have smaller fractions for other functions like sales and finance. And this makes sense because you're using engineers to build AI into the product and processes of the company. The other interesting thing is, and people have been talking about this for a while because they've been seeing this anecdotally, is that the fraction of entry level and senior level employees is going up. Tied to the size and the senior versus junior mix, they find that AI native firms are much less hierarchical. So, in terms of the depth of the organizational reporting tree, it is about half a level smaller. They have fewer management roles. And all this shows up in terms of having higher valuations for AI native firms. And to round out with some concrete examples, one sector the authors found that shows the biggest positive effects of going AI native is the service sector. And they took a few examples. One is education, where they looked at some companies that were AI native versus not, and others healthcare, services delivery. And you look at these comparisons where the AI native firms just have drastically fewer people. And this makes sense. This drives home the main point, which is that if you were running a services company before AI, you would have to scale headcount linearly in order to grow your customer base or grow your product offerings. Whereas now that linear relationship can be broken because AI can perform and deliver a big fraction of these services. And you're seeing this in terms of the headcount growth and the total headcount of AI native service firms versus non-AI native service firms. So all this is to say that this paper finally brings some good empirical rigor to the claim that AI is changing the production function. AI native firms are fundamentally different, both in terms of the internal structure and the products that they're building. So I'll leave a link to the paper down in the description. Thanks for watching. If you like content like this, consider subscribing, like the video, and I will see you next time.